skin with tattoos so you can't see. Knew it from the start, you had problems with me and the things I could be, I just wish I had seen. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right and see life do what you want. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right and see life do what you want. They banished me, never to be seen, to a place where the air's always filled with screams. So hot that the land only grows weeds. A place filled with demons and ghosts, tumbleweeds. Betrayed by some comrades at too brute. I'ma get you all back. It's not if, no it's when. Better watch out, cause I'm coming for revenge. I'ma train hard, I'ma go far. I will learn with every new scar. Got a cold heart, yeah I'm feeling arc. Enemies give me energy from the start. Got an addiction to winning, so I will work till I get it. The sweat is dripping, I'm in it, I'll never stop till I finish. I'm feeling demons possessing, they took a hold of my vessel. The energy of the devil, yeah. A new man, a new me. Better watch out, you ain't never seen a beast. I don't always in control, he could be me. Got a chip on his shoulder and he got some sharp teeth. Anyone in my way, and anyone who betrayed, anyone I have to face, I'll wipe them out like the plague.
All right. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome back to the ABL podcast. We got some week 3 rundown this week. But first, Cal, how you doing, man?
Not too bad. I've had much worse weeks, I have to say, as far as ABL goes anyways. But, yeah, I mean, this week went about as well as it possibly could have. So I cannot say I'm having a bad one.
Well, and as I mentioned to you pre-pod, that you took it upon yourself to make sure that I knew how good of a week you had prior to even speaking to me by joining our call with the name Cal 3-0, which was great. Which is great. You take them where you can get them. My team is in a horrible position right now, and I understand that. I get that. So
it's not even you. It's Kevin. That's
True.
Really all it was.
True.
And again, that's where you take him where you can get him, because I didn't think I had a shot at Kevin, but here we are.
That's awesome.
I had such a good week. I didn't even have the best week of the bunch.
Right? Seriously, it's pretty crazy. And I know we'll obviously get to that in a little bit here, but pretty crazy stuff. Good week, just I think in general across the league. Had some teams at the top lose. Had continued teams who have traditionally, no offense, been not very good in the past, who are now looking potentially maybe a little bit better. Some interesting stuff. So with that, I guess I'll move into our kind of standings, power rankings rundown. And I'll just start by kind of bringing up the power rankings here. And just so everyone's aware, in case you didn't see Dylan's message in the chat, there's a bug with the like the up and down rankings for like how many positions teams have moved. You can obviously tell, Washington was in first last week, so they obviously didn't move 2 spots up. So he's working on that. So we're not going to look at that today in terms of like biggest movers or anything like that. But the first thing that I wanted to look at is it's still crazy to me, but I mean, Chicago sitting up here, 7 wins already this year, 6th in the power rankings with a decent score too, right? Sitting at 130, they're not that far behind Pittsburgh in second. So it's a very interesting what I kind of titled worst to first watch. In a sense, because they are playing very, very well this year. So that was one of kind of the first things that interested me.
Yeah, I mean, this was always something that we thought was going to take place. I didn't think it was going to be this quickly, but
Crazy.
Yeah, Tom absolutely turned that ship around, no problem. Took over a garbage tip of a team and just leaned into it a little bit last year and spun it into what looks to be a serious playoff contender. So absolutely job well done so far. Hopefully you can keep it going. I mean, to go from selling it all last year to being probably a buyer at the dump date, that's a huge turnaround.
It's very, very weird to to feel how I feel currently about my division, where I feel like every other team in my division is at worst a playoff contending team. And I'm not anywhere close to that. So it's very interesting feelings this year. And just for what it's worth, Kevin is tuning in. And he asked if we could skip recapping this week. And my assumption is that your answer is going to be no.
No.
But
we're going to cover every single team, all 30 of them, one by one, until we get to the last team, which is nasty, Kevin.
I'll kick it over to you for your first kind of take of the week.
No, but we plugged it a little bit earlier. But Guardians we brought them up last week for Win Watch, just trying to get on the board. I think we even guaranteed we were going to have the segment next week because there was no way they're going to beat the Dodgers, Tigers, and Pirates. They beat them all.
Insane.
Guardians went 3-0 in one of the most unbelievable 3-0 weeks you can have. I cannot believe they pulled it off. Granted, I would say that all 3 of those teams maybe had some like down-ish weeks, but still, Guardians put over 300 points. I did not predict that either. So, humongous week for the Guardians. And I think, it keeps the season alive at least to where you're just not bumming out, being, with down last place, 1 win. So to go from our I should say 0 wins, because we go from win watch to maybe we're on the hunt. Where did that come from?
Which is crazy, right? I mean, to think of how we mentioned that last week, and then it feels like, and we talked a little bit about, I'm foreshadowing what we'll talk about for our next week preview, but kind of cursing Pittsburgh and Kansas City this week too, both taking losses. I can't think of a bigger week by a team in recent history where you were a team that isn't, it's not like marked as the worst team in the league, right? I mean, it's certainly better than my team right now. But I think if you asked anyone in the league if they thought he was going to go 3-0, I don't think anyone would have picked that, maybe outside of Mark himself. So, really, really, really interesting to see. The second thing for me, and I'll just move over to the standings here specifically, in the NL East, looking at the Nationals, the Phillies, both at 8-1 right now, both scoring a ton of points. The Nationals certainly scoring a ton of points. And it shows too in the power rankings, right? I mean, they're literally 30 points ahead of second place right now. That's how good they are. The fact that they don't have 9 wins is pretty crazy. But I'm wondering if the NL runs through the East this year. It's obviously a very strong division at the top. Even some decent teams in the middle with New York, Miami, and Atlanta all hovering right around 500 after 3 weeks. So competitive division. Do they get 3 teams in? It would not surprise me if they did. So just interesting kind of thought I had, because it feels like, you look at the Central, they're going to be strong per usual, right? They'll possibly have three, maybe 4 if Frank pulls it off. And then in the West, that might be the division that only gets 1 in.
It could be, because we're looking at
it goes
NL West being Dodgers, Padres.
Yep.
So it goes right into my point, because it was surprising to see that. I feel like the West has always had just kind of like a rotating of teams. Like I think D-backs were there a couple of years.
Yep.
And then of course it was just Giants, Dodgers mainly.
Yep.
So Padres, I guess, have the closest shot, I would
Right
think,
now.
based on what we're seeing in the early going.
Yep.
Giants are not where I think they expect to be,
Nope.
or really most of us expect them to be. So really, it's just Dodgers by themselves at the top. As
Yep.
of right now, it looks a lot closer in the standings. But I think looking at the teams, I think the Dodgers have a much better shot in the long run, just
Yeah.
where they're getting back through injuries. So they may by end of season, I think, run away with the division. But as it stands, it looks like a two dog race with the Dodgers Padres.
Yeah, it'll be interesting with the multiple dump proclamations that were
Yes.
made today, April 21st, 2025. We'll see what happens, 40 days from now when those come to fruition. But it does kind of bring up, I think, something that's interesting. And we can maybe talk more about this when we talk about the trades and transactions from the past week. But it's interesting to me after seeing, obviously, not shockingly, Joe be the first to put up a message like that today, and then Steve obviously as well. And you even made the point about why doesn't everyone just do a dump proclamation, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is a very valid point. I'm a team that is probably gonna dump, but even if I wasn't, I'd probably still make the proclamation, right, to cover my bases. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see, does a dump like that, Joe trading some players away, does that allow someone to maybe take the West instead? Because as we were saying, it might be kind of difficult for them to be a 2-team division, given what the other 2 divisions look like in the NL. So I'm curious to see kind of how the maybe dump date, so to speak, might impact that division itself.
Yeah, 100%. Dump's going to be a big factor this year. I also will mention, Tyler, your camera seems to be real blurry here.
Oh my goodness!
So yeah, you're working on. And then
try
I'll
this.
take over here with the shout out the Braves. Braves put up a massive week, 350 points from the Braves.
Wow.
I don't know what's going on over there in Atlanta, but they cooked up a storm, and I don't know how far they moved up in the rankings either. I'm dying to know what the accurate number is because Braves were probably, I think, in the 20s from last week. I'll have to go back and look maybe a previous pod when we scroll through this.
That's a good point.
They shot up. They're I don't remember them being at 13. I definitely know they shot up in the ranks here.
They were, they were. I think you're right. They were like low, or I guess I don't know if low 20s or high 20s is the right way to say it, but like 21, 22, I think.
Yeah.
Is where they were. So yeah, that's a really good point. They did shoot up a ton just from a big week.
Yeah, so we had some large weeks from teams that maybe aren't the most lauded over at the top part of the power rankings, which is it's fun to see. It's good to see Mark up there. It's good to see the Braves shooting up the list here. So yeah, absolutely.
And I'm as I've always said too with the rankings that I put together, and then obviously they're slightly tweaked with Dylan as well. The longer we go, or the farther we get into the season, right, the less impact one individual week is going to have, because ideally the power ranking is taking into account both short-term, streakiness of a team, right? Are you playing well right now, while also taking into account how have you been all year long? So that could be a piece of it too. If the Braves shot up, 8 spots this week maybe, but 5 weeks from now, that's probably not going to happen to any team, just because there's not going to be as much movement per normal. So
right.
And I'll read this out too, because I know you're not necessarily looking at chat, but Joe actually is watching us right now, which is amazing.
Yes.
So Joe, thank you for being here. But he said you got to love that an itty bitty troll made its way all the way to the pod. And what I will say is, Joe, there is no troll that is too small for this podcast. We will bring
Loophole Joe. What a guy.
We will bring everything to this pod if we can, because that's what we live for, and it honestly makes it fun and lets us sleep at night. So
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to some transaction stuff, and I'll let you kind of lead it off as I pull up the transactions.
Yeah. So when I caught my eye, I think it was Alan who picked him up. I'll probably need to double check that. I need some fact checkers on me full time. But
I'll pull it up right now.
I think Rockies picked up a Jorbit Vivas. He was a guy that I just had to cut. I did not see much of a future with him in the Yankee system. He's gotten a couple cups of coffee, has done anything with it. Alan sniffed it out. Jorbit's been doing pretty well in AAA so far for the Yankees. And I think Grisham had to go on paternity leave, so Vivas gets the call. Allen was there before it even happened, so he lucks into a big league spot for a buck. I mean, if Jorbit can at least do a little bit of what he was doing in AAA.
We lost Cal. Cal, I don't know if you can hear me, but we lost you. And I know Cal we were talking a little bit pre-pod that he loved Vivas. So certainly not shocking in any way, shape, or form that was something that he pulled up. So hold on, I'll see if I can get Cal back up here. There we go. You back up?
Yep.
All right, there we go. I was trying to finish on Vivas for you. I was gonna say I don't know what happened, but I was trying to.
Happening. I don't. My hands are here. I don't know what's going on.
Technology.
Yeah, it keeps happening.
That's what happens. Technology happens.
I'm out in the boonies, is what it is. It's just internet connection. I'm out in the boonies. Who knows what's going on over here?
But what were you? You want to finish Vivas there? You're
no, I mean there wasn't much. I just thought it was gonna be a decent pickup for a guy who's raking in AAA that has had a decent hit tool over the years, but has not shown it at any point when he's been up in the bigs. So maybe this is the shot. Maybe this third time's the charm, perhaps.
Yeah, who knows?
So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Speaking of third time's a charm too, and this is something that I just want to talk about because I honestly forgot I even got him. But I picked up Jonah Bride from waivers. I can't remember who dropped him, but I picked him up when he was still in Miami, and then Minnesota trades cash for him essentially. And as I am assuming everyone knows by now, the Twins always at all times are required to have a minimum of 7 players on the IL. Yes. So signing a guy like this who has a bunch of major league experience, potentially, I don't know, they revive a career of some guy who just hasn't ever really done much of anything.
Oh man, Austin Martin looks a little too healthy for us right now. We're gonna have to get a tire iron to somebody.
Good God, man. So now he's up and has already started a game for us. So nice. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure if this is any kind of long-term thing, but certainly worth a shot, I thought. And then the other thing that I figured we should talk about or just mention is the one trade that we had, which obviously per usual started all of, I didn't even see, why am I not seeing any trades right now? Why am I on March 15th? This is great.
I was saying, did it get reversed?
Oh, there we go. I was on
breaking news.
No, I was on page 2 somehow. I was like, what is happening right now? So the Biggio trade, which sparked all the dump talk again. And just, tons of craziness. And again, it was pretty much hashed out in chat, so not a whole lot we need to necessarily say. But
I'll give you a PSA, though.
Yeah.
Don't trade. Just don't trade.
100%.
I know we keep complaining about why people are not trading.
Yep.
Look, guys, if you guys aren't going to figure it out and know the rules, don't trade.
Just don't do it.
Just don't even think about it. Don't think about any other players. Just focus on your own team till 100%. June 1st. Get your dump procs ready if you're going to make them. Otherwise, just stop trading. Yep. It's not good for anyone, I don't think.
Yeah, and I guess it could be good, right? But given the rules that we play under, it's probably not. Right?
Probably not.
So
probably not worth.
I know you and I feel the same way about that.
Pick. Yes, I would give the 5th round pick to not deal with it.
Yeah, correct. And I think it's important to note that I put up some pretty big names in the trade block, and I made it very clear that I was not looking to dump, that I was looking for MLB players in return, right? Specifically keepable MLB players, right? Didn't necessarily need to be the same caliber, but I needed to be able to keep them. And I had multiple conversations with multiple people about multiple players on the list, and every single one of them ended in frustration because the team essentially that I was talking to didn't have the right pieces that they were willing to give up that would fall under an allowed trade right now, right?
Right.
And so I think
I'm not
that
give up my right leg for a left arm.
Yeah, and so it's something where I think that if people can understand that, right, and just kind of know that there's probably not going to be a ton of trading until June 1st, which again, depending on how you look at it, maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing. That's just kind of how it is, given the rules, right? And the only way that's ever going to change is if we have some kind of change to the dump rule, which again, it sounds like we're not going to have anytime soon. So, okay. Outside of that, anything else transaction wise you wanted to bring up?
No, it's outside of that. I mean, even Jorbit was a bit of me being optimistic.
Well, so. I mean, we both just talked about people that were on our teams or are on our teams, so that shows you how exciting it was.
Reason. Exactly.
And I should say, I can't tell who said it, Adam. He was asking in chat, how many times did he try to trade for Vivas? I'm assuming that was to you.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I put out. I don't want to air out laundry. But
you don't have to. He put that out there. I didn't know if you wanted to respond to it or not. You can just say a lot.
I do, but I won't.
There you go.
I do, but I won't.
There you go. Fair enough. All right. Well, let's move on to next week then, and talk a little bit about that. I'm going to pull up the schedule here real quick. Why don't you go ahead and start with what you see for next week?
Okay. What I'm seeing is that the Braves, after putting up their 350 points, are going to take on the Guardian Gauntlet. It's the exact same schedule that Mark had last week. It's going to be the Pirates, Tigers, and Dodgers. Oh my!
That's crazy.
We'll see how they handle that. Again, I think that's what. Well, Dodgers kind of took a drop after this past week, so Dodgers are 14th now. But still taking on three of the upper half teams in the league.
Yeah, 2 and 5.
At least Dodgers are division leaders as well. So
yes.
Still not an easy matchup at all. Then I show Rays Yankees. Looks like they are going to be battling it out for who's going to make the tiebreaker for that top AL East spot.
Okay.
And then we have a number 1, number 2 marquee matchup. Our number 1 ranked Nationals versus the number 2 ranked Pirates.
Yeah.
Tune in. That's game of the week. Book it. Watch it. Track it. Whatever.
That's going to be great.
Game of the week.
Yeah, that's going to be great. That's a really, really big one. Something to note with the Braves schedule too. They're competing in the NL East, right? Obviously, just had a really big week. We just talked about how important it's going to be for them to potentially try and compete, right? If they can beat the Dodgers, that again, any NL team they can beat at this point is going to be helpful to them. So yeah, could be a really, really big week for them. On my end, I saw, so I highlighted the Seattle Philly matchup, mainly because it was it felt to me kind of like a David versus a Goliath type of matchup where, except David is like on steroids. Where because Seattle's actually a halfway decent team, they have a decent record, but they're he's gotten kind of lucky right over the past week or two. So it just interesting to see, right? Because outside of that he's got Cincinnati, who obviously is I'm not going to spoil it, but not a great team right now. And I can't remember who their other. And then the Padres too, which again another should be another good matchup, but I thought that was a good one. And then Milwaukee, they have Detroit and New York, so a couple of top 10 matchups. So Milwaukee's sitting at 8. They're playing number 7 and number 5. So those should be some really good matchups. Again, just awesome to highlight Zach like every week in good matchups and that say that his team is playing well.
He's up there consistently. And
exactly.
Should be staying around there for a while.
Exactly. And then the win watch is over because both Kansas City and Pittsburgh lost. So maybe it should have been a loss watch. Doesn't sound as good.
It sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's not as catchy. So there won't be any more win watch anymore after this week.
That's okay.
However, there will still be a winless watch.
Yes.
As Lenny is still 0-9. And I should have just looked at his schedule. I didn't even look. I just knew that he
meant to look at it earlier.
So he's got Seattle, who we talked about. He's got the Padres, and he's got the Giants. So not world beaters. You'd probably argue middle of the pack teams. So maybe there's an opportunity. And we won't look too far ahead because we may have to talk about the Reds again next week. But yeah, just some interesting games there. So we'll continue to watch. Hopefully, Lenny can get a win this week, next week.
I like it. I'm hoping something. I mean, it might be a little bit because Reds have been a little slow at the gate. So maybe something will have to happen. But I'm dialed in for any winless watch that we have.
Yeah.
I'm bummed that it's only one. Like I was hoping we'd have a couple this far out. Maybe we could but after one, it's a lot of pressure on Lenny just to get that one dub on the board.
It also just means that every single one of us is behind him, right?
True. 100%. Yes.
Part of it too, as opposed to maybe having to pick sides between more than one team, but
true.
Who knows? All right. Well, I think that is all we have for this week. Anything else you wanted to kind of chat about before we head out?
No, I think we got week 3 in the books.
Awesome. Sounds great. Well, appreciate everyone coming out. Shorter one this week. We'll keep grinding them out. As a reminder, Cal's tier lists are going to come out like first of every month, or our first episode of every month. So there won't be one next week, but there'll be a brand new one. It's gonna be something spicy. I know it, as always. That'll be whenever our first one in May is. I don't know exactly.
I already have a few tiers down. I'm working on the rest of them, but I'm trying to see how it kind of flows out, where the power rankings are going to flow. So absolutely.
Hell yeah, brother. All right. Well, everyone have a great rest of the week. Appreciate you guys coming out. Have a good rest of the night. We'll talk to y'all later.
See you.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. Have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been stabbed in the back bed, I'll show you what happens. Pass me the mic and I'll show you with action. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you could never own. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you could never own. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right, and see life do what you want. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right, and see life do what you want. So give me all the scars, I'm a human being. Cover them with tattoos so you can't see. Knew it from the start, you had problems with me and the things I could be. I just wish I had seen. I feel this pain.